Hello, Capricorn. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using the Star Tarot by Kathy McLeland. There's a website for Kathy here in the top if you're interested. Supportive Oracle cards. Wisdom of the Hidden Realms by Colette Baron Reed. There's some websites in the back here. Feel free to freeze frame there if you want them. There's a couple more websites in the back of the book here along with her picture. Colette Baron Reed's website. Feel free to freeze frame on that if you want that as well. Okay, what do we have for Capricorn? Capricorn. This doesn't look bad. I had like a rough energy. Okay. I was just going to say I had a rough energy, but I don't see any negative cards. But then on the other side, the Five of Wands shows up. And I'm like, listen, oh, that card again. That's not a bad card. It's just today when it shows up, it's not been the best. I think Sagittarius and Leo had it as well. This is showing up in the environment, the Phoenix, which is not a bad card, but it talks about a cycle of burning bright, then burning out and crashing to the ground. It's not just a beautiful bird. It's a cycle. It's talking about when things go really good, it's followed by something really not so good. Like crashing down into the ground is not fun. That's all I'm saying. How does this start? You're saying something. So, okay, you're saying something. And when you're saying what you're saying, it doesn't feel bad. Like, it doesn't feel like it's bad. You got the Queen of Pentacles here. I don't know. Somebody's taking something the wrong way. Something's not going right. It's going to lead to that Five of Wands, but like it's saying that you're starting this communication. You're starting this situation going forward. And you know what you want. You're setting the rules and you're setting the boundaries, and that's what it is. That's how Capricorn works. You've got rules, you got boundaries. Usually earth signs, and you're an earth sign, they have boundaries, and they hold to those. But once the boundaries established, then that's the boundary, and that's what it is. But it's got to be established. I understand that. The lack of boundaries can be very, I want to say, toxic for an earth sign. Boundaries are really important. I feel like if boundaries aren't there and if they're not adhered to, that can go really bad. But the reason I'm saying this because I think you did establish those boundaries. But you're Capricorn. Okay, so like my first thought is like, why would we get upset about that? Well, the matching energy is the Knight of Wands. This is fire. Fire doesn't like boundaries. I don't know why I'm going to use this analogy. Hopefully this isn't bad. But if you think of a forest fire, it'll go as far as it can. Wherever it can catch fire, it'll just keep going until it's burned everything out. That's the thing with earth and fire. They don't really match all that well usually. Sometimes they can coexist in a positive way, but there's usually like only so much. I think this energy is a rule breaker. Yeah, they hear your boundaries. They don't care about your boundaries. Okay. They hear your boundaries. They don't care about your boundaries. And they think it's not going to matter. But that Fool card, because that's like this. The Fool card is showing up in the spot that what's not working. No, they don't think it's going to matter for some reason. See, the challenge card for you is the Queen of Pentacles, kind of like just setting the boundaries and expecting them to be adhered to. There needed to be a little bit more work on this. More negotiation would have worked because, and I'm like almost tripping on this because I'm like, negotiation? Negotiation, when the boundaries are agreed upon, if you got the other side to agree upon them and they had a hand in creating them, you would have had success because you would have argued it out until you got where you wanted to be. And then once the boundaries were accepted and agreed, both sides, they would have held up. But the way that I feel like this is why this is a challenge card for you, you just kind of said this is how it is and that's how it's going to be. It's a general read, take it with a grain of salt, but this is how this reading's coming forward if this hits, if this connects with you. Which, it makes sense with Capricorn, though. Like, you have boundaries, and you're like, I'm not negotiating on this, and I'm not negotiating on that. Talking them out and explaining why you have this boundary and explaining why you have that boundary, that might have been the whole difference in itself. It doesn't mean your boundaries would have been different, but through explaining your boundaries and maybe doing something for them that worked for them, it may have fortified this so that the boundaries were actually adhered to. But I'm feeling like these boundaries are not going to be adhered to. So we're still going, like, either way, the boundaries are getting broken. The rules are getting broken. Things are not happening the way they should. Now, what's going on here? Because I feel like you're not accepting somebody breaking the boundaries, but they're not adhering to the boundaries. This is, okay, where's my dice? What does that mean? That the boundaries, like, how does that work? Where you're not accepting they're being broken, but they're still being broken. How does that work? 17, star card. Page of Fire. And you also have the Prince of Fire here, too. So, I feel like if somebody breaks the rules, you're just not dealing with them. You're not, like, if they're not going to help me, I'm not going to help them. I'm doing what I said I would do. I'm staying where I said I was going to be. So it's almost as if you said, I'll do this, I'll do that. I'll pick you up at 3 and then I'll come home with you. And they're just like, I'm not going to be ready till 5. And you're like, I guess you're going to find your own ride home, and you go home. Kind of like, I said this is how that was going to work, and I am going home. I said I was. So you'll find another ride. Maybe that, because I feel like that's the type of analogy I'm getting. Kind of like, I have time for you in this window. And you're there. They're not. When that window's over, you're leaving. Or you're there at that window, they show up halfway through, things don't get totally done, and you're like, well, I gotta go. And they're like, where are you going? I have other obligations. I told you I had this window. Good luck with that. Gotta go. And you leave. You're not putting up with it. You're like, no, I'm not gonna change my schedule because they couldn't adhere to it. We talked about this before. If they couldn't do it, they should have said something then, and they didn't, so I gotta go. This puts all the responsibility on them. Oh, that's okay. Okay. So, because I'm like, you don't seem to be getting really upset about the rules being broken. But I feel like this may be why. Kind of like, well, they can break the rules. I'm still holding true to what I said I was going to do, and that's how it is. So I feel like you're going to have to walk away from this. You'll be like, whatever you said you do, you're doing your part the way you said you'd do it. You're upholding your side, but then you leave when, like, that's it, and then you're going. If they can't uphold to that, that's their problem. So whatever isn't done because they couldn't adhere to the rules, that creates the conflict. Then they got all these, like, how am I going to fix it with the 7 of Cups? Like, now what am I going to do? I don't know. Now that the Capricorn's not here, they left, how do I finish this? It's literally all on them. They will make it work out. They'll have to do it all themselves rather than do it with you. So whatever part they were going to work with you on, they're going to have to do it on their own. This feels very self-sufficient. I almost get like the blessing of the mother with this, in the sense of like, that's okay, they can still do it, they're just not going to like it. And that's their lesson. Because I don't feel bad about this card. This is a really positive card, which tells me they're succeeding through it, but I feel like there's also a lesson coming through. And there's a lot of healing coming through with the 4 of Swords. They do it. They do what they need to get done. But it's kind of like, if they did it the way they should have with you, they could have got this job done and then gone and done something else and enjoyed the rest of the week or even the weekend. For example, this feels like something that, like, needed to be done by the end of the week or before. It has to be done before Monday. Maybe that's better. And you're like, I can help you for 2 hours every day at this time. And they don't start showing up till Friday. And you're like, well, And they're like, and they're expecting you to work through the weekend with them. And you're like, no, I have plans this weekend, so good luck. They have to work through the whole weekend. So they don't, instead of doing it the way they should have with you, if they did it the way they should have with you, they would have had a weekend too, but they don't. You're going to keep your weekend. You're like, no, I did my part. Good luck with that. So they end up working through the whole weekend, making it work, because not only do they have to make up for that lost time, but they don't have you to ask questions to, or to figure out what this is or figure out what that is. They don't have you for a reference. They have to do it literally on their own. If they don't know what's going on, they have to figure it out on their own. So they just lost their whole weekend. But by the time Monday comes around, they do make it. They just ruined their whole weekend over it. That's all. So, and it's like the abundance of the mother here. What's it? Gaia's garden. It's just about how it worked out, and they learned their lesson. It still worked out. They still have their abundance. It's just what they had to pay for it. It does not feel bad to me. Now, this person might be in a crash and burn cycle. I like the Phoenix, I do, but it's funny. I always okay anyway, because I said that and I'm like, then I'm negating it out, right? In this situation, like burning bright, and then like they go get their success and then they crash. This is like the crash and burn. They have a cycle with this. In my opinion, when somebody has the Phoenix cycle, it's addressing that you have the Phoenix cycle and like balancing it out a little better. That's all I'm saying. It's a beautiful energy, but it's also a very rough energy to live with. For a time, I had that energy, and then I learned the hard way. Like, you got to heal that. You got to heal that unless you're enjoying it. Which it's not just like it just turns into ashes and gently, sweetly goes to the ground and it's in the slumber. No, it's like you crash to the ground. It's like the bird burns out and then plummets to the ground and crushes, and then it gets reborn again. But it's a crushing fall. It's like, it's not a fun fall. It's not just like, it's not fun. Crash and burn is not fun. I don't know what you're supposed to do with that. They just want you to know it's there. I don't know what you're supposed to do. I really don't. I have no idea. Because they're going to go into another cycle of this is what I'm getting. It's a flow with them. They're going to go into another cycle. I feel like for everybody who comes across this, if this reading is hitting for you, when you see it, you got to decide what to do with it. That's this person. This person does that. Because I'm seeing like I don't know what to do with it. You got the moon card coming forward with this. They made it work out the way they needed to. When all was said and done, it did flourish. So nothing ended badly here. You did. I don't like how it happened, but nothing ended badly, and you did what you said you were going to do. The question is, how are you getting to this? All right, could you got the Lover's card with the? There's a gift of generosity here. Judgment. The Two of Swords. The gift of generosity, the Lovers, the Two of Swords, and the Judgment in your favor. It's literally, it fell on your side, so it's definitely in your favor. I do feel like you're going to give this person another chance, which I'm kind of shocked, but you might be a little bit more, I want to say micromanaging, but in 9 times out of 10, it seems like micromanaging is a bad idea. But with somebody like this, it might just be micromanaging an aspect, as in the time. It's kind of like if we're going to replay out this scenario, you're going to let this person in the beginning know that, listen, when Friday comes, I have other plans. I will literally not be able to be here. So this has to be done by 2 o'clock on Friday for me. If it's not, I'm not going to be here because I'm leaving. So that's the first thing. We're just letting, and you might even tell them why you're not going to be there if you decide that's warranted. And you'll tell them, I'm working on this 2 hours every day. Monday through Friday, I'm going to be at this from noon to 2, I'm going to be working on this. I can, maybe I even will, send you a message every morning at 11 a.m. and I'll let you know I'm going to start. If you're here, great, let's work together. If you're not, Whatever's not done is on you. So it's kind of like the micromanaging of time with this person. And just reminding them, like, I'm not kidding. I'm not going to be there. I'll remind you I'm doing it so you know to come and work with me. But it's on you. Whatever's not done is on you. The Two of Swords is like, I'm not negotiating this. Like, I'm blocking them. I'm like, you don't get to decide differently. I'm telling you how I'm doing it. If you need to do your part at a different time, if you can't be available at that time, that's fine. You do what you got to do, but I'm telling you this is when I'm doing it. I do feel like you might give this person another chance. But it's going to depend on how this next one rolls out. I think you care about this person is why, and you want them to do better. You want to see them do better. So I feel like it's like, all right, I'll give it one more try and see if it works. We'll see if it works. I keep seeing judgment go in your favor. I'm not going to guarantee it works out swimmingly. But I'm going to say either you establish a routine that works for you and you can work with them in that context going forward, or it's going to be the second time it fails and you're like, well, there's no reason for me to keep going with this, and you're just going to do it a different way without this person. It reminds me of people who, like, you know, when you do the teamwork, you have a team project and there's like 3 of you and you and one other person do most of it and the other person doesn't. And at some point it's like, if they're not going to do the work, why do we have them here? And you have to, like, find a way to get rid of them. It's kind of like, if it's only 2 of you doing the work anyway, it should be just 2 of you getting the credit. So, like, we have to get rid of the third person because they're just dead weight. That might be what happens here too. If this person becomes dead weight, you'll get rid of them. Either you'll do it yourself, might as well do it myself anyway, because then I'm more confident with the quality. Even though they do seem to make it work out. At the last second, they do seem to make it work out, but that's not going to work for you. You know, the Hail Mary pass is not how you live your life. That's not how Capricorn usually lives their life anyway. So it's almost like I'd rather do it by myself and do the whole thing rather than go through this. I'll just make sure I allow more time for it, and I'll plan it out a little differently, and I'll just do it all myself. That way it's not a problem. Or maybe they want to do it. Maybe I'll just leave it to them, and I'll just step out of it. Like, hey, they do the Hail Mary pass, and they make it work. They can have the whole thing. I'll just step out of it. Whatever works for you. That's if it doesn't work. There's a chance that this last time around could correct it and it could work out very well. I get like you're happy with the outcome either way. So I do feel, again, it goes through this rough patch. You give it one more try. Whether you keep it or get rid of it, you seem to be happy. So the last time is worth it, because I feel like it's either I find a way to make it work, we'll keep it, great. Or I've decided I gave it every chance I could, I'm at peace with letting it go whatever way I need to, and you move forward. But I guess this last chance is worth the last chance. This next try, I should say the next try, it doesn't mean it's the last chance, because if you keep it going, it's not the last time, is it? So this next time around is worth it. It feels very worth it. This person does have a phoenix. That phoenix pattern, that's something. I don't know. Alright, I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below with the same email. Thank you again for watching, and have a great day.